In the previous video, I made the argument that once you understood a program that allowed you to capture your screen and edit the product, you'd be able to create both the Khan Academy style or animated style educational video that I've been highlighting. While learning the intricacies of such software is beyond the scope of this video, I want to provide you with a brief demo to give you the feel of what it's like, and then allow you to rely upon the vast library of instruction and tutorials provided by the makers of the software itself. So generally, the first thing you want to do after you open up Screenflow is to configure your recording. Add whatever channels you want Screenflow to record. So for example, if I click here, I could ask Screenflow to record my desktop with the built-in display. But maybe I also want some audio, so I click here again and ask it to record my microphone. If you're playing audio directly on your computer that you want recorded, the quality turns out a lot better if, instead of using the microphone, you ask it to record the computer audio. Finally, if you want to include yourself in the video, you can add a second video channel. So in addition to recording my computer's built-in display, I could use my computer's camera. Much like the microphone, this also has a preview. Unfortunately, it doesn't work very well when you're using your phone to record your screen because you can't use your computer to record when you're just recording a recording. I'll at least get rid of this preview. Now I've got things all set up, so I can start recording. My computer's now recording all 4 of those channels, so what I'd want to do is put something on my screen that I'll later want to be part of my video. If I jump back over to Skim, I can go back to that midterm that I showed you before. And now maybe I can add a note for my students, telling them that this is not just equal to, 2x times 1 over x, because they have to use the product rule. There we go, good enough. And when we're all done, we just come up here and tell Screenflow to stop the recording. That automatically takes us into Screenflow's editing page. The way this works is you get kind of a preview of your video up here and the different components of the video down here. You might remember that we recorded 4 different components and you only see 2 components on the screen. That's because on this top line, 2 of them are combined into 1. Screenflow takes the camera off my laptop and the microphone and puts those onto the same line. It kind of makes sense because typically you want to leave those synced up, but for the purposes of demonstration, I'm going to detach the audio so we can see them separately. Similarly, in this bottom row here, Screenflow took my screen recording, all of this stuff, and my computer audio and put those together. There was no computer audio playing, so there's no audio to detach. We can do it, but we'll just end up with a blank line. We can now see the 4 different components that we were recording. Since this bottom one's completely blank, I might as well just get rid of it. Since I don't like looking at my face here, I think I'll get rid of the camera shot as well. But maybe before I do so, I'll point out that we can move this wherever we want. Maybe round the corners a little bit, do a little bit of cropping. Sure. Maybe instead of getting rid of it completely, I'll stick it down here in the corner and then come over to the 4-second mark and insert an action. I'll have my action start at the 2-second mark and end at the 4-second mark. After 4 seconds, maybe I want to rotate in the Z direction. I don't know, let's say 720 degrees, sure. And let's make it get so small that it disappears, but maybe on its way to doing so, it moves across the screen. Instead of being positioned at 405, negative 343, let's make it negative 405 in the X direction. What would that look like? Well, we can just preview our video to get an idea. I hit play, keep an eye on this, spinning, gone. But really, I don't want any of that stuff. I don't even want to see my face on here anymore, so I'm gonna get rid of this entire channel. All that I have left now is the recording of my screen and the audio. You'll notice at the start, there's just some dead air, nothing going on. So I'll delete all of that. Now I can get an idea of what my video looks like. And now maybe I can add a note for my students, telling them that this is not just equal to, 2x times 1 over x, because they have to use the product rule. Okay, a problem that I have with this is I don't like all this dead air in here, and I don't like how long it took me to write this stuff out. So what I might do is select the audio portion that I want to get rid of, all this stuff where there's no talking, and then speed up this video, maybe I'll have it pinned right here, speed up this portion of the clip so that it lasts as long as the audio lasts. Good enough. I'll get rid of this blank part, and let's take a look. And now maybe I can add a note for my students telling them that this is not just equal to 2x times 1 over x, because they have to use the product rule. We certainly don't have a finished product. I probably want to crop the screen a little bit so that I focus on the test and not the background of my screen. Sure. And then I could do all sorts of other stuff with the many features Screenflow has. I wouldn't call this a finished product, but hopefully that at least demonstrates some of the functionality. To see something closer to a finished product, I could delete this recording and open up the video that you're watching right now. To give a big picture view of what's going on, I can zoom out here, which will allow me to see the different components that make up the first 5 minutes or so of this video. There's a lot more rows than before, but I can scroll down to see the rest of them. Let's zoom in and take a closer look at the first 15 or so seconds. With my scrubber all the way over at the 0-second mark, the only active row is this one, a screenshot that I took on my laptop of this picture I found online of campus. As I scroll up, we'll see all the other components that are about to come into play, but none of them extend all the way over to the 0-second mark. This screenshot will end up being the background of my video, so this bar is going to extend all the way to the right until the end of the video. Note that at about the 1.5 second mark, two things happen. This audio kicks in, and my background image is hit with this video action. I'll press play so you can see how those manifest. We could hear the music start to play. This music is just something that I recorded online, and then I use the audio settings up here to turn the volume down significantly, 20% of its original volume, so that it would serve as good background music. To see how the video action works, I'll click on this bar and scroll over to the video tab. Keep an eye on this slider as I take the scrubber and move it from the start of the action to the end. The only difference, the only thing that I changed with this action is the opacity. It starts out being completely opaque, opacity is 100%, and by the end, it's pretty transparent, only 15%. That has the effect of making the picture darker because I chose to start with a black background image, and there aren't any other bars currently in play. If I scroll up a little bit, we see that shortly, the title clip will come into play. That also has a video action. And then a little bit before the 9-second mark, we'll start hearing some audio. This is just the microphone that I use to record myself talking. So let me scroll down again, and then I'll press play. In the previous video, so hopefully you noticed this title clip come in. Title clip is just something that's built in this tab where I can add either text or a title. There's lots of different types of titles that are built in that you just get to choose from. Very easy. What I changed with this video action for the title clip can be seen in this tab. Again, I'll move the scrubber before and after, and maybe you can see what changes over here. Note that this time the opacity didn't change, but the position changed. The X coordinate is still the same, but the Y coordinate went from 0 to 535. Essentially, I just took the title clip and moved it up to the top. There's lots of other things that I could have changed, tons of options in here for you to explore, but I won't go through all those now. It's also worth pointing out that all the video actions are automatically set to happen linearly, but what I did is change the curve type to this ease in and out type because I like that motion a little bit better. If I go back to the 6-second mark and press play one more time, maybe you can notice that this doesn't move at a constant speed up to the top of the screen. Kind of starts out slowly, speeds up, and then slows back down at the end. Just a minor thing, but something that's kind of fun to mess with. The next things to happen to this video, I'll have to scroll up to see, so we won't be able to see this title clip anymore, but note that it's going to go away around the 12-second mark. Alright, I'll press play one more time so we can kind of get an idea of how these different items affect the video. But before I do, let's take a look at what items are coming in soon. We're currently at the 8.5-second mark, and shortly we'll start to hear my dialogue. We also have 3 images coming up that all kind of look the same. They're this check mark, although you might notice that they have different intros and they come in at different points in the video. And if I scroll down a little bit more, we see a bunch of text boxes. The word hardware, software, tablet, note-taking app, screen capture, and editing. The last 2 of which have these actions built into them. This pulse action. And then these last 2 objects, one of which is an annotation and one is just text, the word Screenflow with a different font and a different color. I'll scroll up a little bit and press play. In the previous video, I made the argument that once you understood a program that allowed you... Hopefully that was about what you expected. 2 of the check marks came into play, as did all of the text, hardware, software, tablet, note-taking app, etc. A little bit later, we saw these arrows and the word Screenflow come into play. And In the background, we still have our background image and the background music, and on top of that background music, we have my narration. We're just starting to scratch the surface on all the different features that Screenflow has. I don't think I've even talked about most of these different tabs, but hopefully I've shown enough to give you some sort of an idea of how this stuff works. What I find really cool is that if this were the Khan Academy style video, I'd still have this same narration up top, and I'd still have some background image down at the bottom, but that background image wouldn't be a static picture. Instead, it would be the video of me writing on the screen. Instead of being one long bar, it would be broken up into little segments, much like you see with the narration up here. And it would have lots of different actions, kind of like you see on these different bars, built into it, so that I could zoom in and zoom out, highlight things I want to bring to the viewer's attention, speed up the video when necessary, etc. Really, the process of creating a Khan Academy style video is very similar to the process of creating one of these animated style videos. It's just with the animated style, you have a lot more boxes here, because you have a lot more objects that you want to manipulate on your screen. I'm a strong believer that the best way to learn any software is by using it yourself. Just make a recording, make some small edits to it down here, and then use this little preview feature to see how it changes your video. Hopefully you'll be very impressed and pleased with some of the things that you can do, but then also you'll find some things that you don't know how to do that you really wish you could, which will lead you to researching the different features in this program and learning all sorts of cool things that you can do. I hope these series of videos were useful to you and inspire you to create something that's lots of fun to make and very helpful for your students.